I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your marketing might be making people work way too hard to understand why they should buy from you and their psychology behind this. It's called processing fluency. Basically, that means that when something is easier for the brain to process, people tend to experience it more as familiar, easier to believe, and way more trustworthy. Something that I've seen in this industry is that we had tended to think that credibility is equal to scientific, overcomplicated, educated language, when in reality, simplification is the thing that makes your audience work way less hard than they need to, because that overcomplicated message is just like, what do you mean? And having to decode what you're saying, trying to buy a product or service from you, isn't actually going to make it worth it for them. They basically need to see themselves faster in your message, see the problem that they're having in language they would actually use, and recognize what they're dealing with before maybe the theory or the method or the scientific reasoning behind it. The faster that your audience understands what exactly you mean, the faster that they can decide whether or not it matters to them. So if I started explaining a psychological theory of Kahneman's system 1 and 2 to you, and I went on saying the dual process theory suggests that human cognition operates through an automatic associative system and blah, 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 blah. Who the hell talks like that on Instagram or TikTok or honestly any social media platform? If I were to simplify it and basically say your brain has a fast part that reacts before you think and a slower part that looks for proof after something already feels relevant. The idea becomes easier to understand, right? It's the same concept, but simpler language for my audience to digest. It's essentially a completely different level of processing effort. But this is something I see business owners do in their content all the time. Basically, it comes down to I can talk to them in person and understand that they're very smart, capable, and genuinely really good at what they do. But then looking at their social media and in their content and even on their website, it's taking a stranger way too long to have to understand and decode and process exactly what it is that they're trying to say. Whenever I work with my clients, this is something that we work on because I ingrain in them that simplicity is key, because it's taking the work that they do, the problems that their audience are dealing with, the desires that they have, and using that and turning it into content that feels easier to understand. Your audience should not need to meet you in person to finally understand your value or why your work matters. Your content should be doing that for you. This is exactly why processing fluency matters so much in marketing, because it explains why simplification isn't necessarily dumbing down the work that you do, but it's making it easier for someone else to digest. If this is something that sounds familiar to you and you are really passionate about what you do, but the language that you tend to talk about it in seems really complicated and someone's eyes almost glaze over, use the link in my bio. Let's have a conversation about this, because it does not need to be that complicated.